I want to do this thing. So, what's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis.
Scoop.
Sam Claiborne.
Scoop.
And Jonathan Dornbush.
Scoop.
And we have a great show for you this week. We're going to be checking in with the listeners all episode long this week. A little bit of a slower news week, so we've got all listener mail this week. We're going to be talking about the hardest games we've ever beaten. We've got a listener who needs some recommendations on cooperative games.
Oh, boy.
But first, Corey Adams writes in. He emailed us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com, just like you can. And he says, "Hey, Omega Cops. Hope all is well at Camp Goose. I've been a huge fan of the show for years, but this is my first time sending an email. So I'm considering trying out the remake for Shadow of the Colossus, out this week. I never played it before, and I really have no excuse as to why not. I just never did, even after all the critical acclaim. Might just be the best game I never played, which brings me to my question. What's the best game you guys have never played?"
Oh, man. So many.
I had never played Shadow. I'm playing through it for the first time.
This is your first time playing that?
Yeah.
Like in a game that's in our top 20 games of all time that you never played or something like that.
I mean, there were dozens. I was mostly a Genesis kid growing up, and so I've caught up on, like, Super Metroid's now my favorite game of all time, but many of those SNES classics, you know, I didn't play Chrono Trigger until a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm slowly closing off those gaps. Come back to me. I'll think about what it remains my most unplayed.
Well, the best game I've never played may shock you.
Kid Nicky, Radical Ninja.
No, I played that one.
Okay.
Of course.
No, mine would probably be Mario Galaxy 2.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
That is a
We
good
give it a 10.
I know. It's a 10 from IGN. It came out at a time when I just hated the Wii so much. I was so over the Wii and the Wiimote, and I was over it.
Mine is
Couldn't do
Jared
it.
Petty's favorite game of all time.
Which is wait.
You guys know this.
Jared Petty's favorite game.
You can ask me 20
Oh, Adventure?
No, I've played Adventure.
Yeah.
Sid Meier's Pirates.
Oh, that's right.
And I've never played any Civ.
No,
Neither have I. Yeah.
And
I've
I
never
know
played
those
that
games
series.
are lauded, and there's an expansion out that Dan just reviewed, and I was like, oh, these games look really cool.
Yeah.
But I've never had that, that high-end PC to play them.
Every time I've watched gameplay, I'm like, that seems like something I would love to do, and then it just completely passes me by.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like of everything said, Pirates, Civ, Shadow of the Colossus, those are all on like my to-play list and just haven't.
I've never played Monkey Island either.
Any Monkey Island?
No.
Oh wow.
Even when
Two matter, right?
they re-released
the first two are the good ones.
Yeah, they re-released the first two on Xbox Live Arcade last gen.
Telltale
They're really great.
One series.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
that was a separate thing.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, so that's some people's favorite game ever. Grim Fandango, never played that.
They also just remastered that one. They're making it so easy for you
I
to
know.
play these
There's
games.
a run button too.
Yeah.
Just play those games with guides. You know, you'll get the atmosphere and the story.
Yeah, I think that's what
I
they're
wonder
really
if there's
about.
guides from the time that would be fun to buy and play along with.
Those adventure games, since they have such hardcore fan bases, there's the exact perfect thing for you where, I wish I could plug the website because I can't remember the name, but there's a website that does a cascading level of hints.
Oh, I love that.
Like it gives you like a super general hint and a slightly more specific one, and then it's like, here's the answer. So it's like, it's perfect for how much help you want. I'm having a hard time because I've closed, like I'd never played a lot of the classic computer RPGs, but then a couple years ago I played through Planescape Torment and played through Baldur's Gate.
I was gonna say, but I've never played Baldur's Gate 1 or 2.
Yeah, like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, arguably the
those
greatest Western RPGs of all time. 2, certainly. Greatest city in a video game ever.
Sometimes you have a good excuse. Like I've just never been a PC gamer.
Yeah.
I didn't have a PC growing up.
It's
so.
usually tied to gaps in like platforms,
Yeah.
right? Like me not getting an SNES till later.
Or, for example, just a genre. Like I've never played a Gran Turismo just because I don't care about cars.
Okay, yeah.
true.
Yeah.
There's that too.
Yeah, I mean having not grown up with like a good PC for gaming thing, even something like WoW, I have never even tried WoW.
I've never played WoW.
Yeah.
I've never played WoW,
World of Warcraft is
but I play Hearthstone every day.
I would so love to get like a contemporary opinion of World of Warcraft 10 years later because I think that game's still really good, but I have nostalgic feelings tied up.
A contemporary opinion, like a first-time player, or
Yeah.
just. That's
Well, and they are doing like the legacy server sort of thing, right? Aren't they?
Yeah.
They officially announced that.
Well, and they also, the interesting thing is they, whatever expansion it was, Cataclysm redid the World of Warcraft, it was starting to feel old, like the original areas, the earliest areas in the game, like the level 1 to 10 areas. And so they used this expansion, Cataclysm, as an excuse to reboot the game world. But now that content's some of the oldest content in the game because they've gone back and touched up the other stuff since then.
Yeah, you're not selling me on WoW right now, but it is interesting.
Well, I just wondered, like the new stuff is now like the oldest stuff, and it's all flipped around. So
Yeah. I actually I looked at lists of like the best rated games all time on Metacritic. But you played Half-Life 2,
Yeah.
the GTA's.
I mean, I don't know how
5,
beloved
4,
they
San
are.
Andreas.
What about
I've
PlayStation
never
1
San
era
Andreas.
games?
You haven't played
or
San
No,
Andreas?
San
A
Andreas.
notable
the
gap in
thing.
my knowledge are the PS1, like the Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Never played those, but I don't
You
know how
played
much people love
those.
them.
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot. Like I played those, but not.
Yeah.
I never owned a Crash game. I've only toyed around with them for a
Sure.
few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tomb Raiders 1, 2, and 3, like they were really important at the time.
Yeah.
But it's probably not a game you want to play today.
I feel like they don't hold up as well. Yeah.
Not when you've got the 2 new Tomb Raiders. That
Yeah.
are awesome. Yeah.
I never played. I never grew up with any of the Mega Man games, Mega Man 1 through 6. So I've only toyed around with them a little in the office. I never had the NES
played those?
Castlevanias.
I think I played 2 and 3.
Those are the ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Those were the ones I was
played
told
Castlevania
before.
now.
I mean, like, it's the nature of
Castlevania
my
1 and
job.
3.
Like, that stuff I've poked around with on,
Okay.
NES Classics and stuff, but they're not. I've never actually sat down to like play Castlevania on the NES.
And
Like,
I know you never played Hunzed's Adventure Island 2.
Well, I don't know if I've never played that one. We were just talking about that.
I think it's an excellent game.
Adventure Island
Everybody
2.
should try. It's very accessible and fun. You ride dinosaurs in it.
What about like the Medieval Madness pinball table?
Medieval Madness. I've seen it a million times, so I
castle falls
must
apart.
have played it. Yeah.
Yeah.
AKA,
good
it's the greatest pinball table ever made.
It's interesting if you go
I
by.
completely agree.
So it's interesting actually to go by platform. So like Sam, what's a known great NES game that you've never played,
There are
or is it? There are no. Okay.
I'm okay with that. But like on Super Nintendo, like I played Ogre Battle now. I always wanted to play that. I have that now. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's games that are that I sought after because I was a collector for so long. But here's the thing: PlayStation 1, Dreamcast. I haven't played anything on those systems.
Okay.
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night, Rapid the Rapid. That's all I've played. No, those are the
He
ones.
has played those. Those are the ones he has.
Like
played.
nobody's ever like coming at me with like a jewel case. Like you gotta play this PS1 game. Well, why doesn't that happen?
So many of the
they don't
when
age
it
as
went to
well.
the weird
But
polygonal
Mario-
graphic focus
Yeah, go ahead.
didn't last in the same way that I think Mario 3 like Super Mario 64 there is a sort of the aesthetic of it I think holds up in a way that some of the early PlayStation games don't hold up.
Ooh, I finally found
Klonoa. I've never played Klonoa.
Yeah.
That's
those
what
are
you're
good,
good,
yeah.
right?
I found a good one for
PlayStation 1.
myself.
Yeah.
I've only played Dragon Quest 8 or whatever the 3D cell
yeah, yeah.
shaded
Yeah,
the
one
one-
was. I've never played
That one's
any of the
awesome.
other Dragon Quest
Okay.
games, and I've never played Final Fantasy 4. I played 1 through 3 and 5 through 9, but I didn't play 4. Or I mean, I played an hour of 10.
Weird you
and
played 5.
Yeah, 5's great.
My Final Fantasy
did you
history
play
is weird. So I played the remakes on DS of like 3 and
Yeah.
4, I think.
They're so
But
ugly.
but they were still fun to play.
Yeah.
But I've never played through 6 or 7, 8 or 9.
Oh, boy.
I've maybe played the first hour of each of those.
So
and
out
I've
of
never
everything
actually
we
played
said, is there a game that we all haven't played that we all agreed on that we hadn't played
no,
that we could play for a Game Scoop Club?
that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it might be
What
hard
about
to
Civ?
come up
You
with.
guys all played Civ?
Yeah,
What about something that's just like phenomenally popular, like League of Legends?
I've never played PUBG.
Never.
I've never played PUBG.
I've
Have
never
you-
played PUBG.
I played
Oh
one
man,
game.
Jonathan, you ruined
Yeah,
it.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll leave.
Well, but have you played League of Legends?
No.
Okay.
I played Dota.
I have not played
So
one.
none of us have played League of Legends.
I'm great at League of Legends.
No, you're not.
You never stop talking about it.
League
Can
of
we play
Legends.
League?
Yeah, we'll play League of Legends.
We can
Can we-
stream it on the Game Scoop channel.
We need
Yeah,
one
we
more.
can.
Here's what we need. We need one more person that hasn't played because it's a 5-player game.
Oh
and
my
we
God.
all play our first game of League of Legends, and we
Okay.
don't. Let's
Well,
agree to
also
not.
not read about it first.
Carrie's going to be here on Friday. I wonder if she's played League.
But
I don't know.
Does it count? Like I've played MOBAs. I've just never played League.
Well, it'll be interesting because I've never even played a MOBA.
Okay.
So you're the team captain because you've played MOBAs before.
I know what
Most
I know what jungling is.
Well, viewers,
No idea.
listeners, let us know if you
I think it's pronounced Youngling.
a good idea for us to
Yagen.
play League of Legends in a live stream for the first time.
I kind of want to do that.
Also, here's hoping that Nintendo re-releases Super Mario Galaxy 2 on
Yes.
the Switch, because then I would finally play it. All right, this is Zach.
And Captain Toad. Damon, I have a question for you.
Yes, Justin.
I have a question for you.
This is
How the
Justin.
tables have
Justin
turned.
writes from San Francisco, California.
That's what my question's about. You
Yeah.
often say, I've been a long time reader of the show. This is my first time writing in. Do you have a preference for? Are you more likely to choose a question if they're like, I've never written into you before?
No, I don't think so, because we always hear from Big
Tony
Tony
style.
style. Pretty often. No, I'm just looking for like good topics.
Okay,
Good topics for the
so
show.
you don't have any sort of like long-time reader preference. This guy's been reading a long time. So.
Well, if they say they've been reading for a long time, obviously.
And you give special preference to AOL.com addresses because
Yeah,
those are hilarious.
Yes, exactly. If you have an AOL.com
Hotmail.
email address, like what the heck? This guy's got to be a good time.
Impressive.
This is Zach. He says, hope you and the Game Scoop crew are doing well. Recently, I've beaten Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link.
Wow.
I recently beat it as well.
Really interesting that game
Within
is
the
not
last 2
called.
years.
That game is not called The Legend of Zelda 2.
No.
This is a game that I'd tried many times over the years, but always found the game frustrating and difficult. I would always get to the second castle before I would die too many times, get sent to the beginning area, and quit.
God, yeah, you have to get all through the caves again. So
Finally, I sat down with a guide, determined to finish the game. It was the only Zelda I had not beaten, CDI excluded, and I really wanted to complete my collection. I was ecstatic when I finally beat it. It is by far the hardest game I have completed, and I'm proud and glad I did it. My question to you is, what game is your greatest accomplishment, or are you most proud of beating?
I'll just take that one.
Yeah. Oh, it's Zelda 2?
Zelda 2.
Yeah, the final boss is so cool. But we talked about this on Game Scoop. I remember when I was playing it. I think I had Jared coaching me.
Yeah.
But that game is really, really difficult. But you save states now, and it makes it
Well,
possible. But it's still hard.
Yeah. But that's on the NES Classic, Zelda 2?
Of course.
You can play
believe so,
that,
yeah.
If you wanted to play a more accurate
It's on
recreation without free state.
3DS, the eShop, and has a really nice
Okay.
Okay.
port. That's how I played it. I just bought it in that.
I think for me, probably it's not the most difficult because of how brutal it was, but just endurance-wise, the Rock Band 2 Endless Set List.
Oh, wow.
Playing that,
That's
because that thing is like, I think 11 hours or
Isn't
so.
that the
Do it
thing
by
where you
yourself?
can't pause?
I did it with my cousin.
You
Okay.
can't
Yeah.
fail
I
any
did it with
songs
it before,
and you
too.
can't
It's really
pause.
fun.
Yeah.
So you have to play it for 11 hours straight
I think it's
without
like,
failing?
Yep.
yeah.
What? That's
And
crazy.
I played
That's
too much
crazy.
Rock Band, so I was pretty good at it, but I could play almost everything on expert, but we bumped it down to hard just because endurance-wise,
Yeah.
we
I know.
could not get
No,
through
you could do it on easy, though.
it. We could, but we wanted to give ourselves.
It's
where's the
really
fun of that?
boring.
There's an achievement for that, and we have it on a list. I wrote a feature several years ago on like the hardest, silliest achievements ever made, and that's
Yeah.
how I know all about it. And I know that the way to cheese it, first of all, you can't cheese it. You have to play through for 11 hours. But what some people do is play the bass line, and then there's a song that has no bass line. Like 4 or 5 hours in for like 60 seconds. So
You
that's
get a
people's
break.
chance
This
to
is a
run and
break.
pee.
Yeah, we also it was my cousin and I playing, but my other cousin was sort of our alternate for the first like half of it because we started like middle of the day and just played into the night.
I remember planning ours out really carefully. We had a party, had a bunch of people over that were
nice.
playing Rock Band, 20 people, and you just switch people in.
That's smart.
And it was really fun.
Yeah.
It was a really fun night. But then by the end of it, people were so drunk
Yeah.
that like it was really hard to get through the last couple because I think it was sequenced by difficulty.
Yes,
too.
and 2 probably has the hardest like end tier. Just like the last 5 or 6 songs of that game are so difficult.
Yeah, they're long.
good.
too.
Yes,
like
yeah,
High
they're
Tide
all-
Green Grass. stuff.
Yes, yeah. That one, that one's actually 1, but the end of 1 is also
that
super
one?
tough. Yeah.
There's monster jams in 2 though, for sure.
Yeah, there's a couple. I forget the names, but there's a few that are just absolutely brutal.
Sometimes
There's a
I
Judas
hear
Priest
songs
song
on
at the end.
on like a radio or like streaming or something when I'm at a place. I'm like, I only know that from Rock Band.
Because of
there's-
Rock Band.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so many songs that I discovered through Rock Band.
Same. That was like my music education for a couple years. Like
It was awesome.
exploring my music tastes. Yeah.
Well, that's really impressive, Jonathan. I was going to say, I beat Super Meat Boy, but that's way more impressive.
Yeah, Meat
You
Boy.
beat Super Meat Boy?
Oh, yeah. Like back when it first came out, yeah.
Meat Boy might be one of mine.
It's definitely one of the hardest ones.
I generally don't like to be particularly challenged by my game. I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
the kind of
yeah.
person that will fail and fail and fail and try again. I'm mostly playing games to have a good time and relax. When I was in high school, I was very, very good at Super Meat Boy, and at my peak, I was 9th in the world.
There you go.
No, not Super Meat Boy. Goodness gracious, Super Monkey Ball.
Oh,
That's a very
yeah.
different game.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Very different
Sorry.
game.
Oh yeah, didn't you used to
it's an
compete?
alternate history.
Yeah, I used to
Well, yeah.
compete for time
like
on
Cloverfield.
Super Monkey Ball, and me and some of my friends. So here's what happened: this is like a top 10 nerdy Justin story.
Good. I love it.
We had a spreadsheet of our times in Super Monkey Ball per level, like our time in level 1, our time in level 2, and it was color coded so that if you had the slowest time in the level, yours was pink. You had the pink score. And so you didn't want to have the pink score in any level. And so through us competing with each other, me and my 3 friends, we also rose up through the global leaderboards until all of us, like these 4 kids from Iowa, were like very, very good at Super Monkey Ball.
Well, I'm surprised that Super Monkey Ball had global leaderboards.
Some of it was on the honor system, and if you started breaking in, like if you started having like world record times on, you know, multiple stages, they might start to ask for, you know, look, you need to photograph it, because at the time people had like potato cameras on their phone. Like there was no way to really get good proof. There were no easy like capture kits, but if you started really competing at a very high level, you had to start proving your times and proving your scores. And we would warm up, like there's master levels in that game that most people never see. They're hard to unlock, very hard to beat. And that was just our warm up, was to like run through those. It's by far the game that I was best at in the world at my peak.
Sam, did you see that Billy Mitchell lost a couple of his Donkey Kong
I did.
world records?
Yeah. So what happened?
Scandal.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Is that he submitted games that were clearly recorded on ROMs.
Like,
Well, not clearly at the time, but they proved they
Yeah.
were. Now,
I guess I should say not clearly. The way that a ROMs build a game on your screen is different than how arcade board does.
Yeah, and if you
which is shocking, because I don't know why that.
I don't know
would
why
be.
either.
So if you slow it down by frame, like Donkey Kong pops in, then a ladder, and then like everything, but you would never see that. It's a blink of an eye. And so the way they figured it out was that, you know, TVs build from right to left. And this was like popping in the stuff. So like he probably got the scores, or maybe he didn't, but there's no way to tell, because that you're not supposed to use a ROM.
because the
period.
ROM could be slowing down the game and then played back at a faster speed, or
you
you don't
can't-
know what. The
And
whole
I don't-
thing.
I
can't
shouldn't
verify
I
that he
shouldn't be
wasn't
saying
using
ROM.
tools.
Everything
A MAME?
a game board uses ROMs. Yeah, this is
But you're thinking
MAME
MAME.
that uses
Yeah.
it's an emulator playing a ROM.
Yeah.
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 And then
Weird, huh?
that led me down this Billy Mitchell rabbit hole where like he's been smoke and mirrors for like, so undoubtedly
yeah.
an incredible gamer, but like his world record pace is like he set a world record, but he did it in a separate room from where the crowd was, and
I
no
know,
one
it's
could
like,
see him
there's no
play.
way-
And
no
it's-
witness?
And it's like,
It's
what,
like-
you're not a magician,
Yeah.
dude. Like,
It makes you think like all these should be in front of people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that there's an element to performance we expect in sports, and we expect it in game playing for esports. And for some reason, it's just enough to send in a tape for Twin Galaxies
Yeah.
arcade scoring, which
Yeah, like
I think is wrong.
Records set at the actual Olympics aren't done behind like a wall and like, oh, that guy ran really fast. Trust me. Pat,
Trust me.
don't worry. Yeah.
So you actually have to make, a tape or a recording of you going in and showing the connections on your game board, and then like showing the machine setup, and then doing your score run.
unbroken.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like set up a time of year, go to a place, and do your score runs.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
People are nuts.
There is still one accomplishment I'm looking forward to achieving someday, hopefully in the not too distant future. I still haven't beaten Splunky, even though I play it a lot and I do the daily challenge every day, but I've never actually beaten the last boss.
you
Actually,
beat
that's not
Olmec?
true. I beat Olmec one time, got him in the lava, but then before I could make the exit, I got killed by a bat.
Dude,
That's as
bats.
far as I've gotten.
Marty and I were just talking about writing a hate feature on how much
All
we hate
bats.
video game bats.
Yeah.
They suck in Stardew Valley.
They stuck in everything. They
It's
stuck in
stuck in
Zelda.
Castlevania.
Mario
Terrible
Kart.
at Zelda. Mario Kart. When are they in Mario Kart?
In
They
the
hit you
Wario's
in-
gold mine, they
Yeah.
come at you.
That's scary.
They're just
Dude,
not
they
fun.
suck in Pokemon. They're terrible universally.
What? Zubat? No,
Yeah.
everyone loves Zubat. No one loves Zubat.
Woobat, Zubat.
All right, this is
Sorry,
Kevin
Zubat fans.
from Romford, Essex. And he says, a jolly good scoop to you all from merry old England.
Jolly good.
After being a gamer for over 25 years, last year I found out what can now only be described as my favorite game, Overcooked.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
I am lucky enough to be able to afford an Xbox One X and a 4K HDR TV. But Overcooked is now my favorite game, as it is the very first time I got to share a gaming experience with my wife. The controls and concept are so simple, we 100%ed the game after a few weekends and had an awesome time doing so. As much as I adored GTA 5, the Metal Gear Solid series, Inside and Limbo, and many others, Overcooked now reigns supreme. My wife played some of the classic 8 and 16-bit console games growing up, but was never really into them. Here comes my dilemma and question. After Overcooked, we were keen to try other games together. My initial thought was Portal 2. However, having never used the modern twin analog stick setup, the system is just too alien to her, and she immediately disliked the game. We've tried simple platform co-op games such as Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime and Spelunky, but the gameplay and style haven't appealed. Could you suggest any first-person games that have an engaging enough story to convince her to persevere with the twin sticks, or other two-player co-op games that could suit?
I would not recommend a first-person game to a gamer
But he
that's
wants to.
To get her
But
acclimated.
He wants
Yeah.
to be able to play something a little bit more sophisticated than like an Overcooked.
Yeah.
I acclimated my wife to twin stick controls with Geometry Wars.
That's interesting. I don't know if that sort of like Twitch arcadey gameplay
Yeah.
would appeal to her.
And it's not a co-op game. I'm just saying, like, in regards to someone that like that control style is alien to you, that's like a fairly
twin stick
easier way
shooter.
to wrap your head around it than like picking up an
I-
FPS.
I assume the thing in terms of first person he wants her to acclimate to is the idea of like moving while
Yeah.
controlling the camera simultaneously.
Yeah.
And I feel like something that's more of a walking simulator, but something like
That's why
Gone Home.
Gone
Yes,
Home.
Gone Home.
I was going to suggest Gone Home.
Oh yeah, I
It's a
played
good-
that with my wife. We really like
Firewatch also. It's a little more.
I was also
intense,
going to
but yeah.
suggest Firewatch, yeah. But Gone Home is great for a first-person game where you move around in space.
One
and there's-
person's playing that game.
Yeah, but
not like
he's
co-op.
trying to teach. This is two different questions.
Okay.
First-person games that have an engaging enough story to convince her to persevere with the twin sticks, or other two-player co-op games that could suit us.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about other like zany co-op style.
Well, how did you guys get into shooters? Doom.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I just played Halo.
It was like Perfect Dark for me.
Yeah,
That's only one.
GoldenEye.
There's only
Play a
one
game
analog
for
stick.
Perfect Dark that was.
I did, but no, I wouldn't say there was a shooter that I was hooked on before Perfect Dark.
GoldenEye was the first shooter that I was both hooked on and never
Imagine.
played.
Maybe that's a necessary step now.
Yeah.
You have to play the one,
play
the one
the
analog
hardest
stick.
one possible, and then everything else. You,
Well, and then I immediately went to Halo and was like, this is much easier.
yeah.
Yeah,
More co-op games. I feel like they had a little renaissance.
But you don't need to go. What's the specific question? One more time.
Okay.
Is it just first-person shooter games that are easy to play or engage?
He doesn't even say shooters. First-person games that have an engaging enough story to convince her to keep going with to learning her analog sticks, or another two-player game that would suit them.
I
That's
think
why I thought a walking simulator, Gone Home.
Gone Home, Firewatch, Tacoma, all on Xbox One.
Yeah, I don't know.
no,
Is
fun.
What Remains of Edith Finch good? I actually don't know. if
Yeah,
it's good.
did that come to Xbox also?
Oh, maybe
one
it
knows.
does.
In-
There's no way to find
no
that
way, yeah.
out unless you go to the store.
because it was Giant Sparrow.
Yeah.
But
It's surprising that
Unfinished Swan was a good one.
yeah,
that's
that one's
also
PS.
PS4.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time didn't appeal to her because I thought
Yeah.
that's the whole idea is that's supposed to be a
But The Witness.
friendly cooperative game. The Witness.
This could be good.
Yeah.
Witness could be good.
It's so pretty too.
The Witness
Like
is-
I really like playing that and just looking around, and you don't need to like action go around. You can just look around the.
You could
island.
just explore that.
Like I was saying, you don't need to like use a trigger. Also, you're just like kind of like this is amazing looking, and
Yeah.
sometimes you do a puzzle.
Is that game 1 year old or 2 years old? It came out in January.
2 years old now.
Because it's been on my mind, and I think it's on my mind just because it came out at this time of year.
January, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
remembering how much I loved it, and really any excuse to have more people play that game is good enough for me.
Yeah.
Other fun co-op though, like it's a much simpler thing, but just the Lego games. Like
Sure.
the best
call.
of the Lego games are really. I've been playing through Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 with my girlfriend, and she like knows games, but isn't like super deep. Like could not jump into Halo and perfect it, but she's been having a really fun time, and I do too.
We played the Lego games together.
Yeah.
My wife and
Yeah.
I. I kind of
Yeah,
forgot
not
we
first
used to do
person,
that.
but
Maybe we should pick a
co-op
Yeah,
games.
in terms of just a co-op game.
Another good cooperative choice for the Xbox could be Zoo Tycoon.
Oh yeah,
It's supposed to be really good, and you could play through the whole game as a cooperative experience.
That's cool. Like you both are building
Yeah.
parts of the zoo.
Yeah, building up your zoo together, and it's like
That's really cool.
relax. There's not like
The
a lot
new
of
the
conflict.
new Picross on Switch has a 2-player mode where
Well,
you're
yeah.
both just filling it.
If you have a Switch,
so
yeah.
so buy a Switch.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good reminder. I have
Switch has
not
snipper clips.
finished Picross.
I put it down too. I was obsessed with it. You and I both were.
Yeah.
And then I put it down for a while. And when I picked it back up, it was not like riding a bike. I couldn't even begin. It's just numbers, and I'm like, I
Picross?
don't even know
Yeah.
where to start.
I got through the main challenges, but then I didn't go to super mega
Yeah.
They're
Picross
crazy.
or whatever it is. Yeah.
You know what game taught all of my non-gamer friends to play contemporary games was Mario Party, because all of the mini games have a
yeah.
various amount of camera manipulation, or sometimes they're first person, sometimes they're not, and you're holding a pretty complicated controller, through the Wii. And it was like I remember a lot of people learned how to play games, and we moved on to Mario Kart from that, which is a big jump.
Yeah.
It's interesting talking about the N64 controller and the one analog stick there, because when they inevitably want to do an N64 classic, they do have a problem on their hands with what to do with their controller situation.
Yeah.
Because like the NES and Super Nintendo controllers have aged; they're much more common today.
What's wrong with
People
the
using
64
emulators?
You just ignore the left side of it.
Yeah.
You can't though.
Yeah,
It's
it's
you
weird.
just leave it there. You just hold the right side.
Yeah, my original thought was they would turn it into a 2-stick controller
Yeah.
and turn the yellow buttons into like a
C-pad,
C-stick.
Yeah,
But other games use those buttons as buttons.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
So
you
weird.
can't.
So they kind of have a problem on their hands.
Yeah, you're right.
They're probably thinking about that right now in Kyoto.
They'll-
Meanwhile, in Kyoto, Shigeru Miyamoto's like, what to do with this darn
I think
controller?
if you hold that controller and ignore that third prong, it's just like any other controller,
Yeah.
right?
Your hands
It's
are just a little offset, but yeah,
just a
like I've,
PlayStation controller.
You hold it in the
It's no
middle.
big deal.
You hold it in the middle for the analog stick there.
Yeah.
yeah, and you're just holding like that. I never
mean,
like reached across.
It's dumb, but like you can play all the games that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You lose the left trigger. I guess you still have the Z trigger.
Yeah. You have two triggers. Like that, we all get used to that. It's just we think when you think back on first person shooters, it's totally crazy.
Yeah.
But like Mario 64 like plays completely normal that way. You're just running and jumping.
Remember Mario 64 on the DS with the thumb nub?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I actually never played it. I know it was like the launch title
you
for
could
the
use it
DS.
to like run with that.
I think maybe I've brought
it's
this up
that
on Scoop
analog.
before, but I'm really fascinated by alternate versions or superior versions of games that are trapped on like weird, like Castlevania Symphony of the Night had extra content in the Sega Saturn version that didn't come out anywhere else.
Yeah, people
And
love
nobody played the Sega Saturn version. And Mario 64 had 20 or 30 new stars.
in the DS version.
Like it's one of
And
the most
Mario.
it's one of the most beloved games of all time, and it has more stars, more content on some platform that's like an inferior way to play it.
Well, and even more recently, the best version of Wind Waker is just now trapped on the Wii
Yeah,
U
that's
unless
true.
they port that.
Yeah.
Like Wind Waker is my personal favorite Zelda game.
Yeah.
And I can't play the best.
But
version
imagine
of
if that
it.
had like another dungeon.
it.
Yeah.
Or the color dungeons in Link's Awakening, although we do mostly get that version of the game now.
And then Mario 3 had cards for Game Boy Advance that you could scan in.
Oh,
With
yeah.
the e-reader.
Mario
the
3
e-reader,
levels.
Wow.
I think we just came up with a feature.
Yeah, we did. Live
Best
feature
versions.
writing.
I just like Mario
right here.
3.
Didn't Metal Gear Solid have like a hologram mission expansion?
Yes, but that was a
Oh,
standalone.
VR missions.
That was like that was like DLC before DLC was a thing. It was like
You just sneak
$20.
around a VR set.
Yeah, my friends and I played through all those in college.
IGN, I know you're looking down.
Yep.
Moving on.
Yep.
I just want to emphasize again how crazy it is that we named Super Mario Brothers 3 the greatest game of all time, best game ever made, and there's more levels for it that are trapped on some device that no one has ever seen or actually played. I don't even know what those levels look like. I want to look them up on YouTube now.
I'm sure Nintendo will figure out a way to sell those levels
played
to us again one day. This is Anwar Virgil in the Netherlands.
That's a really cool name.
What's up?
I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He says, "Hey Damon and the Scoopers, why do you think the Vita failed and Switch is already a big hit? I only say failed because I wanted the Vita to be more than it was. I wanted a device like the Switch that interacted with my PS4 console and take on the road with me. I bought a Switch last month and I instantly fell in love with it. I've been playing the usual suspects: Mario, Zelda, Oxenfree, and Darkest Dungeon." So the Vita did not have Zelda or Mario.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's one of the
Definitely.
big problems.
Didn't have one of the greatest games ever made on it as a launch game.
Yep. I mean, there's so many reasons. It wasn't marketed as heavily as the Switch was.
Yeah, I think marketing and the way it was positioned. Like I bought a Vita, but the way that system was marketed was you can have a home console in your pocket on the go, but it never was really one-to-one the way they sort of implied beforehand. And it was marketed towards a more hardcore demographic.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a system that you could plug into your TV and take on the go
Yeah.
right out of the box.
Yes.
There was an adapter you could buy later for that.
Yeah.
But that's what the Switch is right out of the box. Nintendo took it onto late night talk shows to
Yeah.
show it off to everybody. You
And
never
there is
saw
also
that.
the word of mouth thing of like you show someone a Switch and they instantly get it. That you show someone a Vita, they're like, oh, that looks like a PS1 game that I've played, or
Well, I think
some PS2 games.
The Switch, the promise of the Switch, like let's not discount the Joy-Con, sliding in and
Is
out of
that
the
too?
console and the changing of the form factors. I think it was you. It was you.
It was me.
No,
I know
maybe
it was
not.
you.
I think it was
Loves
like
the Joy-Con.
no, like when the Switch came out, I think it was like you and Josh Dew and a few other people like tweeted out like we're waiting for our movie to start.
Oh, yeah.
And you were just playing Switch. Like
Yeah.
there are these moments that look like television commercials, like the way that console marketed itself with like setting up a kickstand and playing it at a restaurant while you wait for your food to come, and these like the moments that almost feel staged, but it's just like that's the way that
It was genuine. Yeah, we were playing snipper clips before dinner come. We're in the movie theater in
Maybe
the
that was
lobby, and
it.
we're playing other
like,
games. Yeah,
the promise of that system actually being fulfilled in a way that didn't just turn out to be like marketing speak.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, the Vita was like a secondary console. It wasn't Sony's primary console. There was the PlayStation
That's really good.
3, and then you could also get this supplementary piece of hardware. Whereas the Switch is Nintendo's new. This is Nintendo's new console.
And I don't remember necessarily the months after it, but like the Vita launch had a ton of games, and Sony put a lot into that first wave of games. But after that, I think it sort of slowed to a drip in the way that the Switch has had consistent support throughout its first year.
Yeah, it's true.
The Vita was expensive, I think, too, wasn't it? I don't recall.
I think it was $250.
I don't remember what it started at, but
In today's dollars, it's like
250 or
$600.
Yeah.
yeah.
Depending on like the size you bought, because there was like 4G version, Wi-Fi version.
Oh yeah, they did 4G.
Yeah,
That was
or
pointless.
3G.
That OLED
Whatever.
screen.
I mean, that's good for Monster Hunter if you're
Yeah.
a fan, but here,
Yeah.
it's just the software.
Yeah, I liked the Vita a lot, but I got it very late, and then I had about a year where I really enjoyed using it and catching up with all the games. But then the Switch came, and I was like, well, 3DS and Vita are going out to live on the farm at Grandma's house.
I think the Vita is the first home or portable console I didn't buy since the Sega Saturn, maybe. I think I've had every single
since
one.
the Saturn. Wait, did you buy the Saturn?
No.
You didn't buy the Saturn. Okay.
Played a lot of Luminous that first month or two.
Yeah.
Oh man, on the
good version.
PSP.
On Vita too.
I didn't play the Vita version.
It's time for Lumines on Switch.
That is. That's a really good point.
All right, this is Jordan from Pennsylvania. He says, I'm curious on your thoughts on whether or not I should get a PS4 Pro now or wait until E3 to see if PlayStation releases anything about price drops or even a next generation console. I own a 4K TV and an Xbox One X, but it saddens me that I'm not able to play some of the PlayStation exclusives in 4K like Shadow of the Colossus or Horizon Zero Dawn. Seeing the difference on my Xbox One X with a game like Assassin's Creed Origins really made me consider. So
Yeah, don't buy one right now.
So he has Nets.
don't buy one right now.
Yeah.
I would
That's interesting.
say there's no, like, I've been considering getting a Pro, but my PS4 runs well enough, and I've been enjoying how games look on it just fine, that I'm probably going to wait until the next holiday cycle when there will be bundles and sales widely. Like,
Yeah.
now I don't feel is the time.
Well, I think he's interested in playing PS4 games in 4K right now. I think he's more worried about, like, are they going to announce a new console or a big price drop at E3?
Well, for me, knowing that he owns an Xbox One X informs part of my decision of saying don't buy one, because the Xbox One X outclasses the PS4 Pro just as a product. It's significantly more powerful and is more impressive. The PS4 Pro is more of a half step. They're both half steps, but I guess PS4 Pro is almost more of like a quarter step. And yeah, I think E3 is a really good candidate to get a price drop or some sort of impressive bundle that if you do want to pick one up, that'll be a better time to pick one up. It's only a few months away.
That's true. I
God
do.
of War is out soon.
Yes, God of War's out soon.
Yeah.
Maybe you just borrow one from a friend to play God of War.
God of War will be very gorgeous on
Yes.
the PS4 Pro.
Amazing.
If you, I mean,
But
if
I'm
you
not
was
gonna buy one. You know, like I can wait.
If he was some like Sony exclusive fan or Sony mega fan, then I'd say, yeah, PS4 Pro, like upgrade. But knowing that he's a multi-platform gamer, I think the Xbox One X is a more impressive product.
Yeah. I do think E3 2018 is too soon for Sony to be talking about the PlayStation 5.
Agreed. We are getting there though. It feels crazy, right?
Well, I don't know. So
There's some like Switch pressure to do some kind of. I know they don't want to do portables ever again, but I don't wonder what
there were over 6 years between the release of the PlayStation 3 and the announcement
Yeah.
of the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And this E3 will only be 4.5 years since the release of the PlayStation 4. And I think we've been seeing generations have been getting longer and longer, not shorter and shorter, right? So
Well, and especially with the half steps, like
Exactly.
that muddies the water of what a generation will be going forward.
Yeah.
I don't feel this year's the year. I feel like 2019 is the year we may start to get teases.
Agreed.
But also with Xbox One and PS4, like those announcement conferences didn't happen at E3. Like they each held their own individual events. PS4 was like a February, I think, or something like that.
Good point.
Like they were at different points in the year than E3.
yeah.
I just think, I mean, this is like a Justin's getting old moment, but the fact that we're even in the ballpark of new consoles, like in my mind, the PS4 and Xbox One are still new consoles, but they're like 4 years old. Like
I feel like they were just hitting their stride in the last
it
year,
really
so.
trips me up. And I also feel like this generation hasn't had, I mean, maybe we're finding it with games like PUBG and games as a service, but like last gen, like Assassin's Creed and like Gears of War were two like generation defining games in terms of like everything's going to be open world, or open world games can look and feel differently than like Grand Theft Auto. And then, obviously what Gears did to third person shooters. And I don't know that this generation has had like, it doesn't feel like it has as much of an identity, like a separation point from old and new. It just feels like more of a continuation to me.
Well, I feel like there's been something to be said for at least like live service games being taking over, like PUBG or even something like Overwatch.
But it
And the
took
way
us
that
like
game
3 years to
Oh, yeah.
get
Or
there.
Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite. Like that game is becoming so massive too.
No, don't look for any news about a PlayStation 5 at E3, but maybe a price drop. There'll definitely be some bundles, I think, coming with Spider-Man,
Oh yeah.
other big PS4 games. This is Derek, and he says, "Dear Scooper Troopers, first-time emailer, long-time listener. I've been playing video games ever since I opened my Game Boy Color on Christmas Day and have made so many memories with video games in my life. However, lately, I've noticed myself losing enthusiasm and finding it harder to get into a game. For some reason, I just find it hard to be as excited as I used to be. How would you solve this? Am I just growing out of video games, or should I just take a break for a while? Looking forward to the group's insights. Derek,
I've found the same thing, and then I get super excited about a game and get back into it. You got to find the right games that make you excited.
It happens to me every few years.
Might not be the old ones that you used to like.
Totally. Yeah, I get in those withdrawal periods where I'm just like, this is maybe a sequel to like a game I loved, and it's just not doing something for me. And then game after game I try, and then I just need sort of a break from them. And I still keep up with the industry, and I still was invested before I was working in it. But I would take a break for a little bit and then find something new, and it just grabbed me. BioShock was one of those games for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this fall's games I can appreciate from just an artistic achievement standpoint, but just none of them appealed. Like I tried Assassin's Creed and couldn't get into it, and like almost nothing from this fall really just.
Not Mario?
Well, I guess with the exception of Mario, I did enjoy tremendously. Although, I do think it's not quite. I don't know. Mario Galaxy is better in my opinion. But what I found was, I've talked about it on Scoop a couple times, I've been on a kick of strategy and simulation games. I played a lot of Oxygen, Not Included, played a lot of RimWorld. Now I'm playing Dwarf Fortress again. And that's just, Factorio. I'm back into that. So it's like things just sort of go around in a cycle. Like that's just what my flavor is right now. It's like if you eat tacos every night, you're probably going to want to stop eating tacos for a little while. So just play some different
things might surprise you. Like I became obsessed with Pokemon Go. I loved it. My wife and I played it every night. We'd go on these huge walks and had so much fun. The more I look back in the last 5 years, like I got more excited about that game than a lot of other games. And then I got less excited about Zelda at this time. And then Zelda was like so much better than I expected it to be. And then I got really into it. So it's like it's hard to anticipate games with hype levels that you may have had at one point because some have disappointed you and some will surprise you. And you just have to definitely like kind of know your tastes and maybe those tastes will evolve and try new things.
Yeah. I mean, I think Sam's exactly right. I think games are so expensive and hard to make now that game developers are very risk averse generally. So even games that are very different, like an Assassin's Creed from, I don't know, like a military shooter, like they're similar in the sense that like they're just kind of similar in their look and feel and their playground style. We're going to pull you through this game world. And that's why something like The Witness, I just like latch onto as like, I've never played anything that feels like this.
Yeah.
And Zelda accomplished that for me too.
And like, not to just plug IGN content, but Chloe does a really awesome piece at the end of every month of like games you may have missed. And they vary so much in genre and style and tone and aesthetic. And that may be a good place. Like if you feel you're looking at like the major games that you tend to look at and those games don't work for you, see something you may never have seen before, like get exposure to parts of gaming that you never have tried.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And combining both those ideas, like companies will try to wear you out. They will try to use the same thing over and over again because it worked for them. And you see games like Destiny 2 where it's like, hey, like people kind of caught on. We're like, I don't really like this continuation of what I used to like. And, things need to change. But then you have games like Madden, which, are successful, or NBA every year. And they do the same thing. And people like those. And it's strange. And you can definitely stop liking a series that you've liked for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. So Derek, I would say this is maybe not a problem that needs to be solved. It's normal for your interest in gaming to wax and wane. And if it's waning at the moment, enjoy all of your free time.
Yeah, there's always pinball.
Yeah, there is always pinball.
Pinball's really fun.
It's a good point.
It's hard.
All right, here's what we're going to do next. It is February, so we were going to flip through a new issue of EGM.
Yeah, where's that at?
Well, I know I left it at my desk, and I know that Justin is going to have to bounce soon, so I don't know if Justin, would you rather me go get the magazine, or would you rather participate in 20 questions first, and then we do the magazine?
I think I would rather be here for 20 questions. I don't want to see the group botch it without me again.
All right. Then that means it is time for Video Game 20 Questions. And we have some advice from a listener who's worried. He says he feels bad that you guys were struggling recently.
Yeah.
And Ian from Minneapolis.
So rude.
Ian from Minneapolis says on a recent episode, the panel lost the Video Game 20 Questions game when the answer happened to be a late Nintendo 64 game, Paper Mario.
Yeah.
What?
As a longtime fan of the show, I've always felt that the classic question, was it released after January 1st, 2000 to be a risky gamble? And this episode seemed to show why, with so many questions wasted trying to find the system. Let me cut straight to my hopefully...
That's the end of the century, though.
Let me cut to my hopefully helpful suggestion for the GameScoop guessers. Ask if the system was released after January 1st, 2000, instead of the game.
What?
That's his advice.
What?
Because especially with Nintendo 64, you get games released in 2001, 2002, but you don't think of the Nintendo 64 that way. I mean, I take it or leave it. This is just Ian's advice.
What do you?
from Minneapolis.
What's your little Smiley Damon answer going to be for PC?
Well, we'll find out. This week's suggestion comes from Justin.
It's not me. Don't worry.
Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah,
Not
goodness gracious.
a Justin, not the Justin.
Yes.
Oh, man, my fortress is going so poorly, guys. You don't
Wait,
even.
was Justin also suggesting that question?
No,
Okay.
no, that's
'cause that
the
would be
question's
great.
separate.
Yeah.
The question is just someone trying to provide some helpful advice. So
Yeah.
let the questioning
You
begin.
Are we going to kick it off with that new line of questioning and see how it goes?
Does your character wear a hat?
No, we're
No,
not.
no.
Unequivocal, no.
No, your character does not wear a hat.
I think. Okay. Is this a game that is on exclusive to a console?
No.
It's not Persona 5.
Uh,
You wear a hat,
not always.
but you do sometimes.
Unequivocally. Yeah.
Looking cool, Joker.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not exclusive to a console. Was this game? I don't care about the console thing. Was this game released after January 1st, 2000?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, listener.
See, one problem with this is that I
Yeah.
don't know my console dates. So if I switched to that other,
Yeah,
method,
me too.
Well, I guess like
I mean, it's like
I know some
PS2,
of them.
GameCube, Xbox
yeah,
are like 2003 or 2.
they're like those things. So it's not helping. I need to look those up before going. There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Next.
the generation. And the point is, I don't necessarily agree with the reader's suggestion, but his point is that the 2000 date splits the console
It's muddy.
generation.
It does. Yeah.
Which I get.
Okay, so was this released for the PS2, GameCube, Xbox generation of consoles?
No.
Was it released for the generation after that?
Which is what?
I don't know.
PS3, Wii, 360.
Yes.
Cool.
That's pretty good, and it's multi-platform.
And it's, yeah.
Should we ask if it was released after the year 2000?
I got one, Jonathan.
Go ahead.
Was this game developed in Japan?
No.
Okay. Is this game a first-person shooter?
Yes.
Oh boy.
They're so common in that generation.
Okay.
Does it have realistic graphics?
Yes.
Does it take place in World War II?
No.
So it's not the early Call of Duties. I guess I wish I wouldn't have asked that.
Does it have online multiplayer?
Yes. That's 10.
Okay.
So maybe we can ask about series and stuff because it could be like Battlefield.
Yeah, it could be Battlefield or Call of Duty, Modern Warfare.
Yeah, see, I regret the World War II question because
Yeah.
that still leaves many Call of Duties.
Or it
in the
could be
mix.
just some first-person shooter that was like a one-off that we don't know.
Yeah, is this a franchise that's still active? Are they still making games now in this franchise?
Kind of.
Is it Medal of Honor? But that's all World War II. And what about Time Splitters?
I don't know
Doom.
enough about either of those games.
Yeah.
I- Well, the Time Splitters is before that. So is Medal of Honor.
No, Time Splitters 2 was that generation.
That was on GameCube.
Yeah, that's the generation this is.
No, we're on
we're
Wii
on the Wii
360.
generation.
Oh, oops. Okay.
So this is probably a 360 PS3 cross-platform.
Yeah.
Haze.
Battlefield
Ooh,
1943.
This isn't bad. 1940.
Yeah, but it's not World War II.
II. Yeah.
That was the Pacific.
Should we try to do
The 1943 kind of gives it away.
Yeah, yeah.
We had
Franchise or
wait, so it's still around, kind of.
I think it's like
And-
Quake. I think it's still kind of being around is like a really big hint.
Yeah, I completely agree. The way to narrow this down, we were just talking about a good way to do it, and I can't remember what it was. But all right, move
All right.
on. Realistic graphics. Is it critically acclaimed? That's what I wanted to do.
Moderately. I mean, it's not like it's not like an on-off switch, right? Like,
Yeah,
There's
No, that's
varying
good.
grades.
No,
of
that's
Yeah.
moderately critically acclaimed.
so somebody here probably played it.
yeah.
I mean, maybe didn't flip their lid for it.
No, I'm trying.
What's
to
weird is that it's not an exclusive because a lot of the
Yeah,
the Halos and the Resistances and
is
stuff
what you
like
would
that.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, no Halo, no Resistance. Good call.
Well, unless so we're saying multi-platform. Technically, the Halo games were re-released on
Yeah,
Xbox One.
yeah, but Damon wouldn't do that.
Does this have contemporary guns in it?
Like, Well, like guns.
Today's guns.
Today's guns.
Should we ask the setting then?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
I feel like is it a sci-fi game? Is like a clear way, or like is it set on Earth, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to get to the setting of it.
Would it have? Would it? Okay. Is it a sci-fi game?
Yes.
Okay. It's a sci-fi first-person shooter. That's weird. And it's still around, sort of.
I mean, we've been saying games that
Fear?
already fall into this. Prey.
Ooh.
That didn't have multiplayer though, right?
No.
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Did BioShock?
BioShock 2 did, which was on those systems.
That's kind of around.
Yeah.
Is it a sci-fi game set on some version of Earth?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Not.
So that eliminates Prey. That at least part of Prey,
BioShock.
and that eliminates BioShock.
Yeah.
What
But it
games?
does not eliminate. What was the other one we just tossed out?
Haze.
No, shit. We just said it. It was the one we said before Fear.
Oh, Fear.
That's on Earth.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that one is.
Yeah, that and Condemned and stuff were all just like horror.
Oh, yeah.
Horror
Oh,
shooters.
when I said Fear, I was picturing Condemned.
Yeah.
I'm a dummy. And that was made in Japan, I think. Well, Sega published it.
So there's these games with like a short title that were on. Like, well, first of all, Borderlands.
Yeah.
Could that be? Well, that wasn't multiplayer.
No, it's co-op. Online multiplayer counts for
Borderlands
online
is
co-op.
absolutely in a
So
mix
we already
here.
did the realistic graphics.
Oh, yeah.
Thank goodness we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I thought that was a throwaway question, but it worked out.
At a time, it did have realistic.
Sorry, but
graphics.
around Borderlands, there's like games. And Vanquish isn't one of them, but there's games with these short, silly titles that came out in sequence.
Maybe it's not
Blink
Black.
or like
Oh yeah, they're Brink.
Oh,
Brink.
There is Black, but I think that
Black's the
was,
generation before.
Yeah. It came to yeah.
It's never gonna be Black.
Brink's
Like we
not
mentioned
bad,
Black a lot.
but that's not still around. Should we try to narrow publisher or developer?
Oh, that's really good. So it's
Yeah.
not Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Is the developer still around? Does that even help? Publisher still around?
Publisher would be more helpful, I think.
I still keep
But-
coming back to the franchise still sort of being around.
Yeah.
I don't know what that because that eliminates. It's not Haze, not Brink.
No. Yeah.
Does this game have a number 2 sequel?
No.
Oh,
So-
interesting.
Nothing came out with this game number 2.
That's a really good question. So that
Yeah, that's
eliminates
good.
any sort of like Quake weirdness or
Yeah, right.
although that's obviously not sci-fi, but like any of that, like Unreal, it eliminates any of those that we're not thinking about.
Sci-fi.
We're at 15.
Are we really? Wow. Man,
We might have said this game already.
It does not have a number 2 sequel.
No.
By the way, up until now, Destiny fit all of our criteria.
Yeah.
We're miles apart from that.
yeah, true. What game were you thinking of?
No, I
You were just
was just saying. I think
Oh.
we might have brushed past this game already.
I'm picturing games that are way too early in my head. It just dawned on me.
And then there's the PC stuff for Xbox 360, like Gears of War and
Is
stuff
it
like that.
so? It's 360, Wii, PS3 generation.
multi-platform.
Yeah,
Though, could that mean PC?
that's been completely tripping me up because I was not picturing games like Destiny. I was picturing like old shooters. But it's 360.
Was Call of Duty did like
Black Ops, but it
Well,
got
that
it-
has
those have
sequels.
2? Are there
So
anything
does
that
Modern
didn't
Warfare.
have that?
the number
Modern
two.
Warfare
The
and
number
Black
2
Ops.
sequels question was a really good.
Was there like
Yeah.
what was the last one?
Well, there's
The last-
Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, but I don't think Advanced Ghosts.
Ghosts.
Yeah, but that was
Those are
on
all
Earth.
kind of sci-fi.
and they're set on Earth.
Yeah, those are all set on Earth.
Oh, okay. So that was the.
Yeah, that rules out
man.
that rules out Medal of Honor. That rules out Battlefield.
Andres, you got one for us? It's very obscure, and this is only mildly critically acclaimed. It's just
Yeah.
weird.
I mean, we have questions to burn,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, Damien, it does have online multiplayer.
Yes, and it's still kind of around is tripping me up.
Yeah,
Should we ask about if you can drive vehicles in it, or
yeah.
because there would be a Warhawk type game? No, that was a
Starhawk.
Can you drive vehicles in it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Was it developed in America?
Part of it was.
What?
At least part of it was.
Ubisoft?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Ooh, would it be a Tom Clancy thing then?
Should we just ask if it's a Ubisoft game? Does that help?
Ubisoft, or my only other thought is some EA game with dice involved, because they would be
Yeah.
EA or Ubisoft. I
Battlefront?
feel like
Well, Battlefront had a 2.
yeah.
Duh.
Twice.
Wow, what a MVP of a question.
It's
Yeah.
twice.
But wait, what about
Well, we call it first person shooters.
Ubisoft? What Ubisoft first person
That's the
shooters?
thing.
Yeah.
And they only have
King Kong
Rainbow
always threw
Six.
me off.
Yeah.
2K.
2K, EA.
Part of it was developed in America,
Yeah.
At least.
or maybe all of it. Okay. I don't know. Was it
What about what's the ultra violent game that they sent us Hamburger for? Bulletstorm.
Oh.
I don't think any part of that was made by Poland. That was made by People Can Fly. But that's a good. I mean, and that didn't have it didn't have traditional deathmatch multiplayer. It did have multiplayer.
Oh man.
It also was not.
And there's a semi sequel for it.
I also
There's like a remake for it.
Yeah.
And then there's Duke Nukem Forever also.
if that's the case, Damon led us astray with the American question because no part of Bulletstorm was made in America.
Are you trying to do the Larry David?
Yeah, I am trying to do the Larry David.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah,
that's
I feel like
the
I'm
type of
running out of
games I'm
franchise.
thinking
Yeah,
of.
that, God.
Is that the kind of the funnier side of shooters that just kind of bubblegum shooters, you know?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a way to narrow it down.
This is one of
The
those
only
Burger
thing
King
is-
games.
yeah. Jonathan, we lost hard on Sneak King a month or so
Yeah.
ago.
Oh, no.
Stealth game.
Yeah. The only thing I could think to go from here would be publisher, but like I feel like Activision's rolled out because I can't think of anything besides
Call of
Call of
Duty.
Duty.
I was trying to think of weird EA shooters.
Yeah. There, unless there's some obscure random Ubisoft one.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong and Epic co-developed Bulletstorm or something. I'm trying to.
That would be my only thing.
I'm trying to think of a way.
What else did Epic do?
Gears of War.
But Bulletstorm was multi-platform, is the idea.
Yes.
I thought so.
Bulletstorm was.
Did it, I mean, are we sure? I played it on
I'm
Xbox.
pretty sure
I,
it was.
I thought it was maybe only on Xbox. It even had that 3 red lights joke
Oh,
in
maybe it was.
What?
God, I thought it was.
Should we ask if this game had humor in it?
it. Yeah,
Like, I think Duke Nukem and that game both were a humorous game.
I agree.
Was this a humorous shooter?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm liking Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
I'm liking that maybe a little bit more than Bulletstorm.
Weird.
Did this game revive, long dormant, franchise and give it a second shot at life?
No.
Oh!
All right.
I think it's
There are-
Bulletstorm.
There are
Bulletstorm.
only
Yeah.
2 fingers left.
Well, we'll go with that if we can't narrow it down even more.
Yeah, we only have 2 left.
What are games like these lighthearted, like Borderlands-y games?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of like other things.
Was
that,
there a Doom or a Quake?
But those both had 2s.
Yeah. No, there never ended up being another like Doom.
I think it's Bulletstorm. I think you got it.
It's not on Earth. I think it did have multiplayer that just didn't catch.
It had
on.
multiplayer, but it didn't have multiplayer deathmatch. It had a weird mode where you were
Right,
scoring
yeah, you're
points and trying to kick people into cactuses.
I remember that. Yeah. We have one other question to burn.
What's a Bulletstorm like from that generation? I mean, that's it's probably
Yeah.
that, not Bulletstorm, but I think it could be Bulletstorm.
Just especially humorous ones. There's not a lot that come to mind because Bulletstorm was like somewhat well received. It was moderately critically received.
No, I like it. I'm liking Bulletstorm a lot.
It is humorous. Does not take place on Earth. As far
I
as
don't know that that's a multi-platform game, but it got really like the re-release came out on other platforms.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that one definitely
I don't know how. We'll need a rules lawyer to clarify for us. Let's do it.
All right.
Is it Bulletstorm?
We have another question though.
Oh, so what?
All right, fine. Yeah.
You guys are pulling the trigger on
Yeah.
Bulletstorm?
Yeah.
You're right. It's,
Wow.
yes, co-developed by People Can Fly and Epic Games.
They did
It
co-develop.
was Cliff Bleszinski joint.
Right.
And released on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC in 2011.
I have a final question.
Yes.
Did you think we were going to get there?
I was worried.
Yeah.
But you're the one that honed in on Bulletstorm.
Yeah.
Well,
and
yeah.
the number 2 question was really smart.
Yeah, did
gotta
that.
like
use that.
perfect
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of
why.
that.
So they just did the HD remaster last year, less than a year ago. So that's why I said it's still kind of a thing. I'm sure they were
We
exploring
had
the waters.
a pretty
like-
good series of coincidences with our questioning.
Yeah.
there.
I mean, I even
Plus the hat really helped.
Yeah.
with that. Sometimes with 20 questions, I just get hosed. I'm like, well, I didn't play that game. I'm not gonna but I played Bulletstorm. Like I owned it and played it and liked it, but my mind I don't know that I would have gotten there.
They sent us a packet of hamburger
Yeah.
for that game with hair in it, raw hamburger, with hair in it and a dog tag and a bullet casing.
Why?
It's supposed to be the remains of a soldier, I guess.
That's not great.
Bulletstorm, like 2011 was like the tail end. It still happens every once in a while now, but that was the tail end of like the heyday of just weird PR mailings. Like,
Hoping for Far Cry because they've always sent us the weirdest stuff. We got
Yeah.
that box to like store prisoners in
yeah.
Vietnam.
We still have it.
Yeah, they crashed a hang glider out front of GameSpot down the street and
Yeah,
really scared the area. They thought there was like a hang glider.
Was Homeland the one that released like hundreds of balloons?
in the bay?
Yeah.
and they had a Korean food truck at GDC,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
which is like North Korean
Yeah.
themed.
Oh, so many good ones. And yeah, EA published Bulletstorm.
Okay.
Published by EA. I always forget that.
Yeah.
It's a good. I like that game.
Not set on Earth, huh?
I like that game. Yeah, it's like you're on some like alien planet.
Yeah.
you
I don't know if you
kick
drive
people
vehicles.
off ledges a lot.
I don't know if you actually ever drive a vehicle in the game. I didn't remember.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it's all on.
And I actually wasn't 100% sure that you don't wear a hat, but I didn't think the character you're playing as is supposed to be wearing a hat.
Probably wearing a helmet. No one knows.
Is that a functional hat?
Nobody cares.
It's not
Are
like
helmets hats?
it's not like a crown that's functional, you know.
Like functional. It dictates the
All right.
royalty.
All right, I'm gonna go grab this magazine. Justin, you're gonna say goodbye.
Is it just going to be these two?
Yeah, unless you're gonna stick
Yeah.
around.
No, I got to go. But I'm
Okay,
just saying
yeah.
you're going to leave.
No, I'm
these
gonna
two
I'm gonna grab the
alone?
magazine. We're gonna run through it real quick in a few minutes. Okay.
right.
Okay.
We'll be right
Bye.
back. All right, this month we are looking through. It is the February 1992 issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly.
That's the month I was born.
The month you were
and year.
born.
Month and year I was born.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this will be a very special
That's really
issue
cool.
for you then.
Yeah.
You know, as you, I think every single episode we've been looking at since we started doing this from 1991 and 92, every single issue is obsessed with Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 is on the cover of this one. It's just a zoomed in picture like that they took off of a television.
So
the
much so
scans.
that people were writing in last issue and saying, "Stop covering Street Fighter 2, please. We're
That's
sick of it."
amazing.
Oh, you want us to stop? Here's a whole issue dedicated to Street Fighter 2.
The next issue.
It's a great subtweet.
So, Jonathan, growing up as part of as a Street Fighter 2 baby, this must have been all you talked about.
Oh, it was.
First
yes.
words.
Those were
10.
my first birthday was Street Fighter 2 specifically.
I'm going to read the letter from the editor here because it's all about,
Street Fighter 2.
the state of gaming in early 1992. This is from Steve Harris, publisher, editor-in-chief
You're
of...
killing the spine in that collectible magazine.
It's okay. We have 2 other copies of this issue in our library.
And as a reminder, this is from our EGM archives,
Yeah.
and we briefly owned OneUp.com. They briefly were the internet version of EGM.com. So we have the library of EGM magazines.
Yep. So the letter from the editor reads, well, it's that time of year again. The silly season has died down. The Vegas CES is just around the corner.
Yes.
And it's a perfect time to gauge where we're going and where we've been. This year, more than any before, showed the greatest change in the electronic entertainment industry. Not only did we witness the introduction of new game machines like the Super NES, but other systems like the Sega Genesis finally came into their own. Prices on several formats came down, with the NEC TurboGrafx 16 finally reaching below $100. And don't forget the leaps in software production that many machines like the Lynx and Game Gear made in '91. For all the truly incredible movement forward, however, the game industry has also started to experience some downscaling. The Nintendo 8-bit NES, long the staple of the gamer's diet, has been eclipsed by the more powerful 16-bitters, no matter what Nintendo says. The hobby is definitely becoming more upscale, which will have some negative effects in the short term, but should balance out over the long haul. 1991 saw a number of other events occur that will have a significant impact on the market as a whole in 1992. Although originating from a competitor, a tip of the hat goes to the first real television program to cover our hobby. The point isn't whether it's good or bad, but that it's on.
Sounds bad.
But that it's on at all is a testament to its creators and the gaming public.
What was it?
I don't know what he's
Yeah,
talking
that's
about. He doesn't name
weird.
the.
Captain and the Game Master.
He doesn't name the show, but he's
Super
referring
Mario
to
Brothers
some television show that was started by a competitor of EGM. I don't even know what it would be though. So he says, aside from all the giant steps forward video gaming has made since its rebirth in 1985, even then they were acknowledging the rebirth. The question we have to ask ourselves is, where are we going to? The Winter Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas will likely be the place where the future balance of power within the video game industry will play itself out. Sega, coming off a banner year, will enter this show for the first time on top. Although Nintendo may claim superiority, the truth of the here and now is that Sega leveled their arch nemesis with a lower-priced left and a sonic right. Being in the leading position will feel good to everyone at Sega, and they should enjoy it and work hard to continue their progress. Nintendo, however, cannot be counted out or even down for that matter. If Sega does not come up with some equally stunning softs to follow up Sonic, they will be eclipsed by Nintendo, whose legion of third-party producers will net us Street Fighter II, Contra 3, and a plethora of other stunning titles throughout 1992.
Softs?
Yep.
Softs. All right.
Sure, quantity favors Sega, but with the knowledge of what Nintendo will produce in 92, the quality factor will tip to the big ends camp without further forward action from Sega. It's fascinating to me, like, because of books like Console Wars, we know exactly how that all played out.
Yeah.
How Sega was the underdog, and thanks to the incredible team at Sega of America, they were able to catch up with Nintendo and overcome them in the holiday season of 1991 when they lowered the price of the Sega Genesis and packed it with Sonic the Hedgehog. It's an incredible story, and then Sega of Japan effed it all up, and they lost their foothold, and they just tumbled down and down. Had a couple console release missteps, and now Sega today is not even a hardware competitor.
Yeah, that letter was just fascinating to hear read because like the language used is so obsessed with the gaming industry as a technology and as like a consumer-fronted electronics thing, and like the way we talk about games now is so much more the artistry of it and the stories
We've
that we tell.
accepted that this is a big part of popular culture
Yes,
now,
yeah.
and he's talking about like, man, games are being recognized by popular culture
Yes,
now.
yeah.
That's a fight that's been won.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. And right across from that ad is an ad for Terminator. Right across from that letter is an ad for Terminator 2 in baseball.
No.
That was over here.
Which was for NES and Game Boy. And that is an interesting point he makes where he's like, despite what Nintendo's saying, the NES is like out now. Like their new system is more important. Nintendo still does that, where they're like, oh, the 3DS will be around forever.
Yeah, well, and
Like,
that
what
was,
are you guys talking about? No, no.
the DS coming, the
three-pillar
GBA
strategy.
was the third pillar. The GBA will survive. The DS
Yeah.
is just another part of it. And
It's just part of their weird marketing cycle. And they were saying that about the NES and putting out tons of NES games throughout 1992, 93, 94.
Reviewed in this issue is Smash TV for the Super Nintendo. That got an Editor's Choice Gold Award. They like that one.
8989?
8989.
That's for Super Nintendo?
Yeah,
That's
for
not
Super
a great
Nintendo.
port.
You don't think so? They thought it was a great port.
Hate that final boss.
They also reviewed Mega Man 4. That got an Editor's Choice Gold Award.
And there's another example.
8s across the board. What?
Mega Man 4 came out that year. And
Well-
he's like, the NES is dead. And he's right. And then Mega Man 4 came out. And then 5 and 6.
2 more
Man.
Mega Man games came out for the NES
Wow.
after this one in 1992.
And the cover is Street Fighter 2. Like,
Yeah.
this is a different generation. Like, it's just so funny how much
Oh,
those
man.
overlapped.
This is one of the little snippets for the Mega Man 4 review. Capcom definitely has a winner in the Mega Man series. After 3 titles, I would think that they would move on to the Super NES, but they took a bold step and created another great NES title. The worst problem with Mega Man 4 is that some of the weapons and bosses are recycled from the previous games.
Oh, interesting.
the bold step of continuing to develop after developing
Yeah.
3 games.
Well, it sounds like a cool soft to me.
But yes,
They also reviewed The Empire Strikes Back for the NES.
That's
Didn't
a
like
good
that one as much. It got 5554 for that one.
That has a really cool Hoth level in it. That scrolls really nice.
Yeah, when you're riding the Tauntaun?
No. That's Super Star Wars. This is just Empire Strikes Back for NES, and it has like a really cool side-scrolling AT-AT level.
There's a Tauntaun right here in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I know. I'm just talking about a different level. That was a cool Tauntaun.
You know, they have 4 people reviewing each game. Each one writes their own snippet. But the snippets are so often not helpful at all. Listen to this one. This is from the review of The Empire Strikes Back on NES. Take a moment to visualize this game. It never really takes the form of a high-action video game or rock-steady RPG. It gets buried somewhere in between and slows right down in the middle. While the graphics are excellent for 8-bit and the storyline is great, the gameplay leaves something to be desired. Fun. And he gave it a 4. So I don't know what
why
we're
is it fun?
I don't know if he was being like sarcastic, but also it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't really come across.
Who was it?
And, that one was by
Craig Harris.
Sushi X.
Sushi X, longtime EGM writer.
Yeah, they review Rampart for the NES. The scores range from 4 to 8.
Oh man,
That's why we don't average scores here.
Wizards and Warriors 3. I never played that one.
It's an
That's also
RPG.
NES. And they review Monster in My Pocket for the NES, Sam.
Heck yeah.
Which is a game that I know that you like. Oh,
I like all 3 of those games. Rampart is a pretty good port on the NES.
Yeah.
Too.
That's,
I love
weird. That's hard
Rampart.
because it's a trackball game.
Yeah, but you just
hard to
move around with the
convert that.
D-pad. It's fine.
This is a snippet from the Monster in My Pocket review. The name Monster in My Pocket is not the best choice. Even though the game is a
I
little
think it is the
above
best choice.
average, it still is too easy for the serious player. The game is really about a 6, but they could have made it more interesting for a broader audience. Not much of a challenge for me as I blew through it in no time. So he gave it a 5, but said it's really more of a
The
6.
graphics were great.
On Monster in My Pocket, sure.
So Monster in My Pocket was, I remember the logo really well, but that was a series of toys and cartoon tie-ins.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds about right.
But not to be, there was a My Pet Monster cartoon.
I had
also.
I had no My Pet Monster.
And he had like green hair and like striped
Yeah.
arms and like you had, yeah.
Now we go to Quarterman's gaming gossip section. Let's see here. This is what was in the rumors this week. Oh,
Jonathan's
so
been doing a gaming gossip section.
I know.
So he's our
I'm
quarterman.
reviving it.
Jonathan Quarterman. All this time as
Was I
Quarterman's-
really born in February '92?
They put you to work right away. In previous issue, Sam,
checks out.
there was a preview for Contra 4 on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
That-
Probotector.
That's not a thing that exists. It was Contra 3 on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So that we thought that was interesting at the time, and now they're
But
correcting
there were
themselves.
3 Contra games on the NES. It's just one we don't care about. Force.
Well, there was Contra, Super C,
Yeah.
and then Contra Force.
Yeah.
So that's why they thought the next Contra, that's why they're calling
Contra
it Contra 4.
4. But they called it Contra 3, the Alien Wars.
The Quarterman says the incredible new Contra 4 for the Super NES is really not going to be Contra 4 at all. That's because Contra 4 is now Contra 3, even though the release of Contra Force, it should be Contra 5. Anyway, the
covers all
subtitle
this.
on this one is Contra 3 Alien Wars.
Cool. And then there's Operation C for Game Boy. That's a pretty good one.
Operation C, yeah. Here's another rumor. He says, here's the rumor of the new year. Nintendo is rumored to be working on yet another Mario adventure.
What?
The specifics, remember this is February 92, the specifics
After Mario World.
of this Mario title, however, are different since it will also mark the return of one of the little carpenter type dude's oldest enemies, Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
A 16-bit update of the original Quarter Chomper, replete with new scenes and better graphics, is rumored to be on the way for release sometime in 92. Sounds like the type of game the Super NES was designed to make famous.
I love his need to use synonyms for Mario and plumber. Like he had to be like quarter chomper and
The red
carpenter like
bomber.
So
man.
there's no
brown
Donkey Kong
blur.
game
That's
until
what we call
Donkey
Donkey
Kong Country.
Yeah,
But that was
what he's talking
That
about.
would have been 2 years later,
What was 93?
94, I think, when that one was out. Yeah.
But I think that's talking about Donkey Kong Country, right? I mean, it's got to be. It was in development for a long time.
This is an interesting thing. This is about like hardware. It says EGM has learned that a new company, Multics Incorporated of Dallas, Texas, has just created a game card that plugs into any empty slots on any IBM computer. This game card allows one person to play Nintendo games on a TV while another person runs application programs on the computer. The game card performs the same functions as the NES, but the major difference is that the NES games will be on floppy disk. Multics will transfer the games to disk, thereby assuring that the copy will maintain the same high quality as the original cart. By being on floppy disk, Multics states that the games could sell in the $5 to $15 range. The Multics game card will cost about $90 and it will plug into any IBM computer. It will hold programs up to 2 megabits and can be upgraded to handle the new 4 megabit games. Multics is negotiating rights to use some of the older NES titles from companies such as Sony, ImageSoft, Acclaim, and Asmik. Isn't that crazy?
It's all madness.
And I
weird.
tried looking this up. I couldn't find any information about the Multics,
We should hit up Steve
Game
Lynn. He can
chip.
track down a console for us.
the Multics game card. I couldn't find any information.
So the
about it.
idea is that you use your parents' computer
yeah,
while
you're
they're
basically-
using it to put an NES floppy disk in the side, which
I'm
is
sure-
just stolen. You're not going to buy it
Well,
for
yeah.
$15.
I'm
Come
sure
on.
this company's pitch to Nintendo was, the NES is reaching the end of its life. You can still sell games to people with computers to play the NES games on. So there's still going to be a revenue source
Yeah.
to sell NES games to people with IBM computers.
Interesting.
But obviously
So strange.
it never shook out.
Yeah.
love
I had never heard of that before,
Me neither.
and I thought that was great.
Yeah.
A lot of these issues come with special advertising supplemental sections. It is the Neo Geo's turn in this issue. These are always very questionable. It's just like big hunk of this whole thing in the middle of the issue.
Oh,
It's just
man.
like an
But you
advertising
could tear it out.
supplement, and very, very small text that says advertising supplement at the bottom there.
Neo Geo, bigger, better,
But
better.
all this copy in here in the Neo Geo section is written in the first person, and it's totally unclear who is writing it.
Is the Neo Geo writing it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so
it's like we sent our trusty reporter to our ad department, and he
so
wrote
it's like
this.
first of all, it's not clear that this is an advertising paid for content. It's written in the first person, and it sounds like this. One question that many people ask me is, will Neo Geo come out with a handheld? SNK will not release a portable system like Neo Geo Advanced Home Entertainment System. You see, when a video game company starts making handhelds, that means they have to split up the workforce. Instead of having the whole research and development staff working just on their home system and developing more games for it, some of the programmers have to develop handheld software. When our competitors release an 8-bit system, 16-bit system, CD-ROM, and a handheld, you have to write software for each system. It could get ugly. This is not the style of Neo Geo. Therefore, we will not release a handheld. And it goes on and on like that.
Well,
Wow.
There's got to be a byline in the front.
No, there's no No, Sam. There's no
What about
byline.
that dog?
Just-
That bulldog in the front page.
No, it could be the bulldog, I suppose. Anyway, it's very...
Nothing in the rule book says a dog can't learn to write.
Yeah.
Finally, on on page 104, there's Game Gear previews, and there's a preview of
man.
the game. They just call it Axe Battler, and there's 4 screenshots, and it says Axe Battler is an action and role-playing adventure in one. Sure looks a lot like Golden Axe in the action scenes. And yeah, the full title is Axe Battler: The Legend of Golden Axe. It was a Golden Axe spin-off.
Oh, weird.
Oh, man.
Maybe they branded it Golden Axe later.
Yeah, but so they have
Does that
4.
say Bill Lambier's Combat Basketball?
It sure does. So they've got 4 screenshots to publish and share with their
Don't worry
readers here,
about that.
and then they have a little description of the game, but they don't even know what they're looking at. They have no idea that Axe Battler, this game that's coming out, is a spinoff of Golden Axe.
Yeah.
They
maybe
don't even
Axe
know.
Battler didn't know.
But it's clearly
Maybe it started
It's
off
made by
as a
Sega.
a knockoff, and then it got licensed.
anyway. That's a little glimpse at
That's
the
crazy.
February night. This is what was going on while you were
When I
being
was
born,
born.
Jonathan.
Yeah. What a wild time I missed.
Yeah. I always enjoy.
Well, I feel
crazy.
worse now. Like, it was great winning 20 questions, but now I just want to know who Neo Geo was writing about.
Who the first
Or
person
who was
Who was
writing?
writing?
Who was
The bulldog.
who was trying to hawk Neo Geo systems?
See, the Game Lord speaks. That's what it says.
Yeah, but who's the game lord? That,
That
dog?
dog.
The Game Lord.
Yeah.
That dog.
I solved it. Mystery solved. It's the Game Lord. This is the Game Lord.
Anyway,
Just wrap. Just go.
that is all the scoops that we have for you this week. Remember, you can always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com. Thank you, Justin. Rest in peace. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you,
Thank
Game
you.
Lord.
My name is Damon. This
Woof.
is IGN Gamescoop, and we're out.